Well, I have a particular affection for critical care because I was in on the start of it over 10 years ago and have followed it through its trials and tribulations. And I just think the whole open access approach and the rapid publication time is very attractive. And that's really why we submitted it to critical care. And I have to say, we did send it to two very national journals who turned it down, I think, for the wrong reasons, and it was so nice to get it accepted so quickly and published so quickly. 7,500 people have accessed it in a period of 4 months, so there's a lot of people looking at it. I don't know if you submit it to a more traditional journal, how many people would actually read it. The logic tells me that it must be being seen by many more, particularly when it's free and open access, free open access. Yes, comparing it to publishing in traditional journals, where historically publishing time has been up to a year in some cases. This has been very rapid and very efficient, and I think the quality of the reviewing has been excellent. And so I'd be very encouraged to carry on submitting papers and encouraging my colleagues to do so as well. I know nurses, for example, there's an enormous body of nurses out there accessing these papers, and I'm very encouraged by the whole concept, and I think that's what's going to happen. I think other journals are probably going to go the same way in due course. But I think critical care has taken the lead in this area. Logically, we expect the open access to increase the visibility of the paper, which is very encouraging and very gratifying. And I think the whole system, the way it works, is extremely efficient. I think the combination of the fast publication time and clearly the number of people who are accessing it is the motives that make my colleagues and myself, and I know other people as well, submit papers to this journal. I'm very encouraged by talking to people, colleagues, and particularly the junior colleagues who are very excited by the notion that they can get a paper, if they're on the paper, published very quickly. And I think it's the future. I'm quite sure this question of doing away with paper is probably the way we're going to go. And I was just talking to a colleague just recently who wants to submit a paper to the journal because he's applying he's got a grant application in, and he wants to get the paper published quickly so he can be cited in his grant application. And if you had to wait for a year, there's a distinct advantage in that, be able to get it published quickly and then say, well, I can cite it as a reference for my grant application. It's those sort of things I think are going to tell in the end. Speed of publication clearly is very important because many of us got really fed up with the tremendous delay in some cases with some of the more traditional journals. I remember 3 or 4 years ago, it was 18 months, 2 years in some cases. It was quite ludicrous. And often by the time the work is published, it's out of date, as it were. So the idea of being able to publish something very quickly, and you get response from that. You get discussion, and it leads to further developments. I think the whole process, the whole research process, is speeded up because you get a journal paper published very quickly. Somebody can respond to it. It can be cited in other journals, and it amplifies the whole of the research process. And I think hopefully in the end, improves the quality. I find the quality of critical care remarkable considering it's a relatively new journal, that it's comparable to all the other journals now. I think the level of papers we're seeing and reading is as good as any critical care journal around.